Hey there, fellow Americans. Imagine waking up to an extra $5,300 in your bank account. Sounds too good to be true? Well, for millions of Americans, this could be their reality, but only if they act fast. The deadline is approaching quickly, and you don't want to miss out on this life-changing opportunity. Before we dive deep into this crucial information that could put thousands of dollars in your pocket, take a moment to hit that subscribe button and notification bell to stay updated on more financial tips and opportunities that could help you secure your financial future. Now, you might be wondering, is this really legitimate? Why haven't I heard about this before? And most importantly, do I qualify? These are all excellent questions, and I'm going to break down everything you need to know about this stimulus payment opportunity that's closing on January 10th. This isn't just another clickbait story, this is real government assistance that many Americans don't even know they're eligible for. Let's start with the basics. This stimulus payment is part of a comprehensive economic recovery initiative designed to help Americans who are still feeling the lingering effects of economic challenges. While many people think the era of stimulus payments ended years ago, the truth is that various government programs are still actively providing financial support to eligible citizens. The key is knowing where to look and how to claim what you're entitled to. You might be sitting there thinking, I've already received all my stimulus checks, or I probably don't qualify for this. But here's the surprising truth: this particular program has much broader eligibility criteria than previous stimulus payments. In fact, many people who didn't qualify for earlier stimulus checks might be eligible for this one. The government has expanded the qualification parameters to ensure more Americans can receive the financial support they need. So, who exactly qualifies for this $5,300 payment? The eligibility criteria are more inclusive than you might think. First and foremost, if you're a U.S. citizen or permanent resident who filed taxes in the last 2 years, you're already on the right track. But here's where it gets interesting: your income level isn't the only determining factor. The government is also considering factors like household size, employment status during specific periods, and even certain types of expenses you might have incurred over the past few years. Let's talk about some specific scenarios that might apply to you. Are you someone who worked remotely during the pandemic? Did you have additional healthcare expenses? Did you have to care for family members or invest in home office equipment? All of these factors could potentially contribute to your eligibility. The program takes into account the various ways Americans' lives and finances were impacted, not just their income levels. One of the most overlooked aspects of this stimulus payment is that it's not just for individuals. Families can potentially receive even more. If you have dependents, your potential payment could increase significantly. The government has structured this program to provide additional support for those with children or elderly dependents, recognizing the extra financial burden these responsibilities entail. Now, you might be wondering about the income thresholds. Unlike previous stimulus payments, this program has a more nuanced approach to income qualification. Instead of strict cutoff limits, there's a graduated scale that takes into account various factors. This means that even if you earned a decent income, you might still qualify for a partial payment. The key is understanding how different aspects of your financial situation interact with the eligibility criteria. Let's address a concern that many people have: what if you didn't receive previous stimulus payments? Here's the good news: your eligibility for this payment is not dependent on whether you received previous stimulus checks. In fact, if you missed out on previous payments, you might be more likely to qualify for this one. The government has specifically designed this program to catch those who might have fallen through the cracks in earlier rounds of economic support. Here's something crucial that you need to know, and this is where many people make a mistake. Just being eligible isn't enough. You must actively claim this payment. The government isn't automatically sending out these checks to everyone who qualifies. This is why the January 10th deadline is so important. After this date, even if you're eligible, you might lose your chance to claim this significant financial support. Now, let's talk about the application process. I know what you're thinking: government paperwork can be intimidating. But don't worry, I'm going to break down the process into simple, manageable steps. The first thing you need to do is gather your documentation. This includes your tax returns from the past 2 years, proof of residence, and any documentation related to expenses that might qualify you for additional support. One common question I get is about the verification process. How long does it take? What happens after you submit your application? Typically, the verification process takes between 2 to 4 weeks. During this time, the relevant government agencies will review your application and supporting documentation. They might reach out for additional information, so make sure to keep an eye on your email and mail. Here's something important that many people don't realize: you can track the status of your application online. The government has set up a secure portal where you can check your application status and receive updates. This transparency helps reduce anxiety about whether your application is being processed and when you might receive your payment. Let's address another crucial aspect: the payment method. You have several options for receiving your stimulus payment. Direct deposit is the fastest method, and if you've previously received tax refunds via direct deposit, the government already has your banking information. However, you can also opt for a paper check or even a prepaid debit card. Each method has its pros and cons, and I'll explain them all so you can make the best choice for your situation. Now, let's talk about timing. Even though the deadline is January 10th, you don't want to wait until the last minute to apply. Why? Because the verification process takes time, and if there are any issues with your application, you'll want to have enough time to resolve them before the deadline. Plus, there's typically a surge of applications as the deadline approaches, which can lead to longer processing times. Here's something that might surprise you: there are additional benefits you might qualify for alongside this stimulus payment. Many Americans don't realize that qualifying for this stimulus can also make them eligible for other assistance programs. This could include utility assistance, healthcare subsidies, or educational benefits. It's like unlocking a door to additional financial support you might not have known existed. Let's address some common myths about this stimulus payment. First, no, this isn't a loan that needs to be repaid. Second, receiving this payment won't affect your tax liability or other government benefits you might be receiving. Third, you don't need to hire anyone to help you claim this payment. You can complete the entire process yourself, although free assistance is available if you need it. Speaking of assistance, let's talk about where you can get help if you need it. The government has set up dedicated support centers where trained professionals can help you with your application. These services are completely free, so be wary of anyone charging fees to help you claim your stimulus payment. I'll provide contact information for legitimate support services that can assist you with your application. Now, let's discuss what happens after you receive your payment. While there are no restrictions on how you can use this money, it's important to think strategically about how to make the most of it. Whether you're planning to pay off debt, create an emergency fund, or invest in your future, having a plan before the money arrives can help you maximize its impact on your financial situation. Here's a critical point that often gets overlooked: this stimulus payment is tax-free. You won't need to report it as income on your next tax return, and it won't push you into a higher tax bracket. This means the full amount is yours to use as you see fit, without having to set aside a portion for taxes. Let's talk about some success stories. I've heard from numerous people who've already received their payments and how it's impacted their lives. From paying off medical bills to starting small businesses, from catching up on mortgage payments to investing in education, these stories show the real-world impact of this stimulus program. While everyone's situation is different, these examples can give you ideas about how to best utilize this financial support. Now, you might be wondering about the verification process and what might cause delays or denials. Common issues include incomplete documentation, mismatched information, or missing signatures. I'll explain how to avoid these pitfalls and what to do if you encounter any problems during the application process. Remember, if your application is initially denied, you have the right to appeal the decision. Let's address a concern many people have about privacy and security. The application process requires sharing personal information, so it's natural to be cautious. I'll explain the security measures in place to protect your data and how to ensure you're using legitimate government websites and resources. This includes how to spot and avoid scams related to stimulus payments. Time is really of the essence here. With January 10th approaching, you need to act quickly to ensure you don't miss out on this opportunity. But quick doesn't mean careless. You still need to be thorough in preparing your application. I recommend setting aside at least a few hours to gather your documents and complete the application properly. Here's something else to consider: if you know someone who might qualify for this payment, share this information with them. Many eligible Americans might miss out simply because they don't know about this opportunity or think they don't qualify. By spreading the word, you could help someone receive the financial support they need. Let's talk about what to do if you've recently moved or changed your contact information. This is crucial because the government needs to be able to reach you during the verification process and to send your payment. I'll explain how to update your information and ensure it's correctly reflected in your application. As we wrap up, let me emphasize again why this opportunity is so important. This isn't just about receiving a one-time payment, it's about getting the financial support you're entitled to and potentially opening doors to other assistance programs. The January 10th deadline is firm, and there's no guarantee this opportunity will come around again. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. I'm constantly researching and sharing information about financial opportunities like this one, and you won't want to miss out on future updates. Also, leave a comment below if you have any questions. I do my best to respond to everyone and provide additional clarification where needed. Remember, you have nothing to lose by checking your eligibility and potentially thousands to gain. Don't let this opportunity slip away. Start gathering your documents today and take the first step toward claiming your stimulus payment. Your future self will thank you for taking action now. This is your moment to take control of your financial situation. Don't let doubts or procrastination hold you back. Check your eligibility, gather your documents, and submit your application. With January 10th just around the corner, there's no better time than now to take action and potentially secure $5,300 for you and your family.